Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Intuitive Flower readings for today. I hope you're having a great week. We are on to the 20th today. These are pre-recorded because I am still in the UK at this stage. Two places at once, look at me. And I am heading home this weekend. So today we are into the waning crescent. We've just had the last quarter over the weekend, and we're into the waning crescent. So this is, when we look at the waning crescent and what is happening with the energies and areas like that, we start to look at the decreasing again. The moonlight's decreasing again. The soil is absorbing the energy, and of course the energy is drawn down. So it's not going into the plants, it's almost coming away from the plant, which means the growth is reduced this time of year. So for sowing, what we would be planting, and I used to do the crop planting by the moon charts, what we were doing this week is nothing. I don't plant anything on the waning crescent. It's too dark. We don't need to do that. So it's not about setting goals this week. It's about rest or having a break this week. But on the farm, of course, on a 90-acre organic crop farm, there was no week to have a rest or a break. What it was, we just changed things up. So we started doing the weeding. You would start to do, when you were mowing this time of year, it actually would reduce the growth of the grass. If you did it next week or the week after, you're actually mowing to increase the growth of the grass. So there's two different ways we're doing it. So what we're doing this week is, because everything is being drawn down and we're into this waning crescent, it's a great time for weeding. It's a great time for pruning. If you are trying to keep your hedge in the right space, if you are pruning for new growth, as in if you were pruning a rose bush, not a good time to be pruning a rose bush this week. Next week would be so much better. Whereas pruning this week for a hedge will keep the hedge in check a little bit longer, because everything's been drawn down. So for this week, we are not setting any goals this particular week. This week is all about self-love. When we look at the Trust Mastery program, it's all about self-love. So self-love is, we're looking at how we protect, accept, allow, and trust ourselves. And these are the areas that we look at. So we want to have these clear, loving boundaries. We want to celebrate who we are. We want to allow ourselves to make mistakes if we're going to, and reflect and be gentle on ourselves and get an understanding of them. And we want to actually trust ourselves, really start to develop that spiritual trust in ourselves. So they're the areas that we're looking at this week. Now, I did ask the ladies, I'll do a collective one. I'll put my little trusty randomizer on. So I've got that happening here, as you can see. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. So we'll do one for the collective first about self-love, and then I have asked a few of the ladies to send in images. Now, I asked them to send in 4 images. Well, I'm away for 5 weeks. I didn't realize, because the first week I was in Melbourne. So I'm going to do some random ones for them, because I want to thank them for supporting me in this particular way. But for our collective, let's have a look. Here we go with our randomizer for our collective, and it's number 19. So number 19, self-love this week for the collective is... Now, hang on, too soon. Now, there we go. That, oh, hang on, I've got to put myself down there, because I like it like that. I like it like that. Okay. This is our picture for the collective. So when we look at the different areas that we have in the image, and we were looking at the calyx, the scent, thorns, light, we're looking at different areas there. It is all about the self-love. So calyx is all about protection. And the thing is with a bougainvillea, and this is the bougainvillea, the thing is with this is the bougainvillea actually has a really, really tiny flower. And what you're seeing is what they call, I think they're called the tepals. They're actually leaves that have coloured or like the calyx, it's colored. So the actual flower itself is a little tiny white dot, like in the middle. It's very, very tiny. It's like a little trumpet flower. But what we see is this beautiful display of color with the bougainvilleas. And when we look at protection, when we look at that understanding of it, it's about setting those clear boundaries. Now, I don't see this as setting clear boundaries. This is a huge, big area here. And maybe we've got to look at allowing some of those boundaries to relax off, because sometimes we can set these lovely clear boundaries, but they can be too regimented. They can be too strong. And boundaries are there not to stop or restrict. They're more there as a guideline. And I see that this week we can allow those boundaries to be expanded. Maybe tested is another word. Allow them to open up a little bit more. And we have these beautiful flowers all over this image with a lot of green, a lot of guidance and support there. But the beautiful bougainvillea, it's so stunning. It makes such a statement. But again, the flowers are really, really insignificant. So maybe that's what the boundaries are about. Being able to put a statement out there, being able to expand your boundaries a little bit more this week. And we do that in a self-love sort of a way. We're not doing that to help others. We're doing that to help ourselves. So allow those boundaries to be expanded on a little bit more this week. The other part is accepting and celebrating who you are. And I see again the bougainvillea that it doesn't have a scent to it, but I can see that is about celebrating who you are. We look at the bougainvillea, the canes of the bougainvillea, and it's almost like those fireworks. It's almost like, we're sending out these fireworks everywhere. I think we need to celebrate who we are a little bit more this week. I think we need to be a little bit more particular on it, and enjoy. If a massage is what you need, if a hot tub is what you need, to really allow yourself to do that, embrace that, and really get into that this week, because it is all about self-love this week. We're not making any goals. We're not making any long-term commitments or anything like that. It's all about living in the here and now and really feeling it. And I see this bougainvillea is allowing that to happen in a really big, wide way. And so the next part is about allowing, and thorns are about learning. Now, I know the bougainvillea can have some of the canes can be quite sharp. They can have thorns on them. And that is about learning it's not about learning. It's about allowing ourselves to make mistakes. And look, sometimes we get so worried that we're going to do something wrong that we don't do it. And what I'm saying this week, it's about, don't let those fears stop you. Allow yourself to go forward. Allow yourself to try. Allow yourself to be out there. Allow yourself to celebrate, to put those, stretch those boundaries. Allow yourself to do that. Sure, we might make mistakes. We might do it a little bit wrong, but it doesn't matter. We've still got to do it, and we've got to reflect back gently on ourselves. There's this beautiful saying, and I can't quote it because I just don't know it, but it was like when they invented the light bulb. There was so many, excuse me, my voice is going to go funny. There is so many mistakes they made before they created the light bulb. If they didn't make those mistakes, they wouldn't have been able to create the light bulb. If they'd given up before we got to there, they wouldn't have created the light bulb. And so it's all these areas allowing ourselves to do that. And when we see it in this beautiful bougainvillea, we're saying, don't stop at one thing. Don't just create a light bulb, create a whole city of lights, be more open to what you can do and what you have that ability to do, and put it out there for the world. Let's show it off like the beautiful bougainvillea does. And again, that little tiny flower that it has, that's what your goal really is. But it's okay to put it out there and show the world that what you've got, and know that this is what's really in your heart. So really important this week about actually, it is all about pushing those boundaries this week, accepting who you are, celebrating who it is, it doesn't matter if there are things there that we could do differently. We've learned that now, and we can do it differently as we go forward for this week. And then the final part is about trusting yourself. And we do that with light. There is a bit of light coming in through the bottom here. We see the bottom area is dark, but we've got light coming through. And it's almost like the bougainvillea, all this top part's light, and this is darker down here. We see that the light is shining in, it is coming in. And part of that is allowing your spirit to shine and your spirit to really, really put yourself out there. So this week is all really, really important for you to look at those boundaries and start to push them. Celebrate who you are, allow that to go through, accept all that to happen. Even if you make something that you could have done a little bit better, a little bit differently, allow that to sort of go, okay, I'll know better next time, and go forward with it and start to really trust that spirit is there to guide you. That's this week. No goals this week. It's all about internal. It's all about the self-love this week. Okay, that's the collective. Now, as I said, the ladies didn't send me an image for this week because I asked them to do 4, not 5. So get my little trusty randomizer out again. Don't you just love my randomizer? It's just so random. Okay, so who shall I do first? Mel, you're going to be first. Here's your number, 26, Mel. And it is, I love this flower. I shouldn't keep saying that because I love them all. They just bring up so much joy and like, look at this one. It's just beautiful. One main flower, the rest are blurred. So this is the main area. It's almost like you're standing out there amongst everyone else and you're just shining your light there. When we do talk about light, I can see that this flower is in the light. It's really out there. And you're with other like-minded people and they're all shining their light too. It's not like you're the only one in the world. There's lots of people around you like it. And when we do it as a collective, you look, imagine this flower on its own in a big field on its own. It doesn't have the impact as what a field of these flowers do. So that's how I see this for you this week, Mel, as far as your self-love goes. And maybe this one's a little bit about allowing, a little bit about the learnings, and it is about coming together in a group sort of a situation. But when we talk about the protection, it does have a calyx, the little daisy. It does have a calyx, but it's very, very, it falls off very quickly, whereas the rose will stay there for a long time. It just peters away very quickly. So your boundaries, I don't see you setting real clear boundaries this week. I don't think you need to. I think your boundaries are involving quite a few people around you, a lovely big group around you, and you're taking those boundaries together. You're allowing that to come through together. So as far as your self-love goes, I don't think you need to protect yourself from anyone or anything else. I don't think you need to have to worry too much about boundaries. And if anything, like the collective, allow them to grow a little bit this week, or push on them. Just move them out a little bit more. Accepting is the scent. No, I don't think the daisy's got a scent either, but it is about celebrating who you are and celebrating you as your individual. Even though you have so many like-minded people around you, you're still an individual. It is still you. And you are part of that group and you are just as important in that group. And it's that knowing that and celebrating that and allowing yourself to shine. That's what's really important, and trusting on that. It's not necessarily about, and it could even be a family. It could even be a family group. It's like there seems to be everybody all over the place, but I'm just here shining brightly, doing my thing. That's sort of how I see this week. And that's all about your self-love, loving yourself to be able to stand there with everyone else and just be you. And again, you're looking up to the light. You're looking up for support in a real spiritual. You're open-hearted. You're very open and welcoming. And I just see it as a beautiful week for you to self-love yourself, and possibly in a group environment. And that could even be your social media, where you're actually acknowledging the self-love and what you need to do, and acknowledging you're pushing a few boundaries and expanding on it a little bit. So it could be even that sort of side to it. But that's yours, Mel. Next one is, I will do Glenda next, my trusty little randomizer. Glenda's 53. You wish, don't you, Glenda? Yeah, do. Okay, 53. I'm not going to show you. Yeah, I am. Here is number 53. Here's yours, Glenda. Look at you out there. Beautiful. Okay, so as far as boundaries, as far as protection goes with the calyx, it doesn't have a calyx. It's not there in the image anyway. So again, I can see you pushing the boundaries. Look, the flower doesn't even fit in to the image, so into the frame. So yes, definitely pushing boundaries there. And not forcefully, just gently. Look at the beautiful rounded shape of the petals. It's not about pushing them forcefully. It's about doing it gently, just allowing yourself to go expand out just that little bit more and go, oh, what does that feel like? What does that look like? Very heart-centered this week, but action heart-centered too. Accept who you are, celebrate who you are. Again, this doesn't have a scent. There's not nostalgia to this as far as the scent goes, but there is a lot of nostalgia as far as the flower goes. And we look at this hibiscus, it's always there about it's tropical. It only grows in the tropical regions. We look at places like Hawaii, where where I was first aware of it in that environment. North Queensland, we have it. Obviously, we have it a lot here in Australia, in the northern areas, but it is a real tropical flower. So when we're sort of celebrating who we are, it's allowing us to celebrate where we live as well, acknowledging that where we are, where we're at is where we want to be. So this flower, if it was growing in a colder environment, it's not going to survive, or it's not going to blossom as well. So we can look at that area there. So the nostalgia that comes with that. And the first time I actually saw one of these flowers was, I went to Hawaii and I was 18, I think. I did my 19, and of course you had to put it in behind your ear, and one side was you're available and one side was you're married. And then apparently if you had it in the top of your head, it was like either or, doesn't really matter. So you could have been married but still be available. So it was really funny. But that's how I see that hibiscus. I see it as beautiful, as loving, but it's also for me, the nostalgia part is the humor when I first learnt about it. So it always reminds me of that. So where I'm going to put, what part of the head am I going to put it on? So really fun. So that's accepting that. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Now, this, I would sort of say in this, you wear your heart on your sleeve. You'll put your heart out there, and obviously we know what happens when we put our heart on our sleeve, when we put it out there. It can get a little bit painful sometimes. That's just the nature of the beast. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, like if I can't put my heart out on my sleeve, if I can't put my heart out there to others, then I'm not living my true self. So yes, I will say things that I may regret a bit later. I might sort of think, oh, I could have said that better. And that's okay. Allow that to happen, and allow yourself to reflect on some of those and get a better understanding of them. Definitely all yours. That allowing is definitely about the heart. And then the last bit was trusting your intuition. The best way you can connect with that is all about light. Now, there's not a lot of light in this image. The flower itself is lit up, but it's not like a natural light coming through. So at this particular stage, you're still learning a lot about finding your happy medium, your happy intuitive medium. It's still discovering what that is. And that's fine as well. I remember when I was doing it, I learnt a lot through trial and error of different areas that I would try. So I worked with crystals for a while. I worked with healings with Reiki for a while. I worked with lots of different modalities. And I think that's still where you're at. You're still trying to spotlight what it is you really want to connect with. And I know you do the yoga and you have a lot of areas there, but you've got something else deep down that I feel that you can bring forward a bit more. So that's you for this week. About self-love, oh yeah, mate, you're out there. You are in the spotlight for self-love. You've got no problems. Sally, you are next. I'm going to have to get through this quickly because I've got an interview to do next. Sal, you're number 90. Yes, I've got an interview to do on another podcast that's happening after this. Here is yours, Sal. I love doing interviews on the podcast. I love doing my podcast. Okay, so The Voice of Intuition is my podcast. Now, this is your Sally for today. Self-love, boundaries. Look, I just feel with this image, I really feel like you need to, and I know the collective has said, spread your boundaries, open them all up, but I've got this feeling that you need to actually not close them down, but make them more clear. For example, if we don't have a clear understanding of a boundary, how can we move it? How can we expand on it? If you're not scared of grasshoppers, you don't know you're scared of grasshoppers until you know you're scared of grasshoppers. And I'm sort of seeing this with this image. It's like you've got boundaries there and they're very blurred. They're very, you're not really sure of them, and you're getting so much guidance and support from other people and really attached to that emotional depth of it that they're not clear. And I can really relate to this image and how I'm feeling at the moment, because I get like that. I have a real clear understanding of this is my boundary, and then somebody will say something and they add this emotion to it and we get slightly manipulated, and there's other areas about it, and then it sort of becomes, oh, maybe I haven't got that boundary, or maybe my boundary is different, and I start to second guess it. Until I know that that's my boundary, I don't know I can move it. And so I'm thinking with this, the feeling I'm getting with this is, yes, you have boundaries. Yes, you can expand on them, but be clear of where they are, and watch out for people that are, and it's definitely people of a feminine nature that are trying to guide you, and it's not necessarily where you need to go. Take on the information, get the understanding of it. But again, be clear. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe this information coming through for you is to help you be clear on your boundaries, because I think they're a little bit blurred in some areas, and it's not, it's creating a little bit of uncertainty for you. And yeah, so with those boundaries, it's really, I know that sounds a little bit like gobbledygook. I do apologize for that, but I can turn around and say I don't have clear boundaries on some things, which is fine. But there's other things I do have clear boundaries on. And this is what I'm sort of seeing with this image. It's like there's areas there that are a bit blurry, and people are being able to wean you the way they want you to go. Okay, they want you to go this way, they will wean you that way, and you're taking that on board. So this could be almost like a course that you're doing, or something that you're doing, and they're just sort of pushing you away that it's okay, but is it clear? Is it where you want to be or where you want to go? So have a look at that, especially when it's about self-love. Is it sitting right with you? Go with that one. Accept who you are, celebrate who you are. Absolutely. You've had enough. You've been in the depths of this. Like this flower grows in water. So water and mud, or on the banks of the river, water and mud. It's got to be pretty wet. It's got to have a lot of emotions for it to go forward. And it does actually thrive on those emotions. But it doesn't need the emotions to keep it up there. Not like a water lily needs the emotions, needs water to keep the stem up. The lily doesn't. So you've got all that happening in the past, and it's a really great way to celebrate who you are. You've acknowledged it, you've lived it, you've done it. Good. I'm off. I'm going. And again, allow yourself to make some mistakes and reflect on it gently. I can't see you making those mistakes. Yes, you have made the mistakes. I can see you being guided, and then you realize that it's not right for you and you change it. And finding your happy medium. Again, it's quite a dark image, but the flowers really do pop. They haven't got the direct light on them. So I don't think this week it's about you finding your intuitive medium. I think you've got most of that pretty well covered. And it's not like you need to look for any more at this stage. I think you've got enough going on there. But yeah, just watch your boundaries and watch the guidance you're getting this week. Is it really self-love? Is it loving and resonating with you well enough? Because you're getting a lot of information coming through this week. Right, that's yourself. Oh, look at my things hanging out. How embarrassing. Why didn't you tell me I looked like that? So scruffy. My little tag's hanging out. Okay, I'm going to change the subject. Bex, you're next. Okay, get my trusty little randomizer out. That doesn't want to play. I'm not showing you my number. Okay, here we go. It's yours, Bex. 23. Here we go. Here we go. This is it. Right. Share screen. Bex, here's yours. It's beautiful hollyhocks. Look at them. They're gorgeous. Look at the light. See how you can see the light coming down on that? See how the light's on that? Really from the top down. I took the picture of these hollyhocks. These are my mum's, and mum's going into a nursing home today, so it's don't go there. And so yeah, she used to grow the hollyhocks. She used to love the hollyhocks. Well, she still does love the hollyhocks. She just doesn't remember that anymore. But anyway, the light's coming down, which is really lovely. But let's look at protection. Let's look at the calyx. See, this is calyx here. That green that covers that's the flower that's dead. But you can see that there, it covers the bud. The calyx is the protection that covers the bud. Now, the hollyhocks do have them, as we can see there. So there is a lot of protection around your goals as you go forward. So as we're looking at this is particularly self-love, you have got a lot of protection around that. And then as it opens up, the protection is no longer needed. But as you're nurturing yourself and as you're understanding what areas of self-love that resonate with you, you are protected in that sort of way. Once you start to open up and you go, you know what? I really love having a sauna. That's what is really, really lovely for me. I'm going to, you will find those boundaries and go, I'm doing that. And I don't care what anyone else is saying or doing. This is what I need to do for me. And that is really, really important. So you know how to put those boundaries up. You are protected. You know where to go with that one. We see this sort of a little shadow side of you. It's similar, almost like your twin happening in the background there. And again, that's not an issue. There's something there going on, happening there. That could be your spirit side of things, although it is in the past. And this is your main flower. So when we're looking at other ones, when you've got those dual flowers like that, we sort of see this one as the here and now. This is where you're at. And the other one can be almost the side that people don't see, that blurred side. That could be the emotional side, the intuitive side, the mental side. This one here is definitely the physical side, because that's what people see. So you've got those, but I don't feel you have problems with boundaries. And you said, well, you don't have problems with boundaries. And this week for the collective, it was part of expanding those boundaries and allowing them to grow and develop. Phone keeps on playing up. So that is fine. You can still do that. But I think yours are pretty clear anyway. You have an understanding of where they are. You have an understanding of where they're going. And you know that if you're breaking them, allowing them to be changed or anything else, you're very aware of it. So boundaries are okay for you this week. Celebrate who you are. I can see that's a celebration. That almost looks like, that flower almost looks like a, oh God, I can't remember the name of it. Oh shit, my old age just keep creeping up on me. Fireworks. It almost looks like a fireworks going off. So I do see that you accept who you are. And again, I talked about this flower as my mum's flower. She used to love it when she was in England as a young girl. And I have a lot of nostalgia, a lot of history behind it. And there may be that for you this week. There may be a time there where you want to celebrate who you are and where you've come from, where that nostalgia is coming through, where that path that you've come through, not just you, but your mother, your mother's mother, your mother's mother's mother, and allow that intergenerational aspect to come through, the positive ones to come through, and celebrate those. Mum was like this, great grandma was like that, and find those positive areas, because we all have a negative aspect to it. We can always find those, but celebrate the positive sides to your nostalgia, to the past. And then the next one is allow your mistakes. I can see that there's no thorns with this one. So there's no real strong learnings. But when we look at the way the hollyhock grows, it goes as one stem, but lots of flowers. We can see lots of goals. So there's lots of areas that you're doing, growing and achieving, and areas that are going to be dropping off. Now, when they drop off these areas here, like this flower that has passed there, we sort of say, well, okay, what was the learning in that? What did you get out of that made you want to go forward and create it again? Because it's almost like the same flower, but better. What's the next flower? But better. Here's another one, but better. And you sort of, because they're not necessarily better, they're the same flower, but they're a different flower. It's just a new lease on it, a new understanding of it, a new development on it, a new growth, another step up the ladder. So we can see those things and get an understanding as they're passing on. What did you get an understanding of from there? What could you change? What were you looking at? What were the learnings from it? And then finally, find your happy intuitive medium, the best way to connect intuitively. I would suggest that you could do with the help of somebody close by, to somebody to give you a bit of a helping hand, and you can reflect on them and get an understanding of them. They're a blurry person in the background, in the background, but I can see that you can get a lot of info. I've got to be careful because I knock everything over when I use my arms like that, but I can see you get a lot of information, a lot of understanding from them, and you may look at them from a distance. They don't have to be right beside you in a physical sense, but you do get a lot of understanding from them, and they're going to help you find your intuitive area. But in all honesty, you got it already, girl. When you look at the light, the way the light is reflecting on that flower, you've got all that light coming in. You've got that ability to understand it yourself and discover what it is you want to do and take forward, and what tools you want to use to do that. Because we can all create different things in different areas, but it's those intuitive tools that we use that help take these things on a bit more. It's those intuitive tools that we use that help create our relationships with our family a bit more. It's those intuitive tools that we use that helps create our business a bit more. And it's really allowing us to connect on all of those levels in the same sort of way. So really important to get that happening, your intuitive messages coming through and getting that trust in who you are and where you're going. And that's going to happen for you this week if you give yourself some time. Right. Have I done them all? Have I done yours, Sal? Gosh, I can't remember what I've done. No, I haven't done Sal's. That was Beck's. Els. I haven't done Els. I wish I could go back and have a look, but I can't remember who I've done. Els, I think yours is next. Let's do Els. And if I have forgotten anybody, I do apologize, because I'm running out of time. I know that. Els, yours is 78. And I probably talk too much, and I do apologize for that, but yeah, live with it. I do. I don't have a choice. Okay, Elle, this is yours. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at it. I love this. I love the colors in this. This is just amazing. So yours is about protection. Have we got a calyx there? Yes, we have. These flowers do have calyx, but they're, again, similar to a daisy. You don't really see them much. They go away pretty quick. You've got that protection at the beginning of this goal, but you don't need it much after that. Set clear, loving boundaries for yourself. I feel that this week you don't, yeah, you do need to have a little bit. Yeah, you do. You do need to have, yeah, you're more like the collective. You do need to have clear boundaries. Actually, it's not even about expanding your boundaries this week for you. It's more, so don't listen to the collective one. It's more about you actually creating those crisp, clean boundaries. Somebody's going to be pushing on them today. You're going to, this week, sorry. You're going to have people pushing on those boundaries this week, and it is going to allow you to get a clearer understanding of what's going on and how you feel about it. Look, when people are pushing on your boundaries, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means that it gives you the opportunity to see where you're at and what you're doing. Okay, so it's not a bad thing. It's an opportunity for you to understand you a bit more. But yeah, it can be a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit painful sometimes, a little bit uncomfortable, especially when they're starting to fire off those triggers, and you sort of want to go tell them to where to go. But anyway, you just really need to be very clear on yours. It's not about expanding this week for you. It's really about getting that clarity in it. Okay. Accept and celebrate who you are. Yes, please. And I love the yellow because I find that really joy and really bright and uplifting and inspirational. Have a look back at what you've achieved the last couple of years, your lifetime. Have a look back and see what you've achieved and really celebrate it, acknowledge it. Have a glass of wine and celebrate it, or a cup of tea and acknowledge it. Don't just have a cup of tea and go, oh, yeah, I've done pretty good, Have a cup of tea, go cheers with somebody if you don't drink wine or whatever you don't drink. Acknowledge that you have got to where you are. Acknowledge it, because yes, thousands of people have probably already been there, done that, but acknowledge that you have achieved it as well. Acknowledge how loving and how inspirational you are for those around you. Acknowledge that you have got such a beautiful, big, open, loving heart. You're open, you're expressive, you're inspirational, you're joyful, you're cheerful. Acknowledge it. And yeah, sure, we have shitty times. Sure, we have bad times and times when we don't feel like doing that. But this week, I want you to acknowledge it. Every day, wake up this morning, every day, wake up in the morning and say something that you're grateful for, something that you acknowledge that you're grateful for about yourself, not grateful for about your environment. You don't wake up and say, oh, I'm really grateful that I've got a nice warm bed. No, I'm really grateful that I acknowledge how lucky I am to be living in this environment. And make it about you, okay? Because it's about self-love. It's nurturing you. So celebrate that. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Yes, for sure. It's all about learning. And I can see that you've got a few helpers around you, a few other people around you that are almost in the same boat as you, for want of another word. They are also experiencing different things. They are also learning and trying and experimenting in different ways. And you're all sort of learning and getting an understanding together. That is really cool. If and when you do make mistakes, discuss it with them, talk to them about it, get an understanding of it, get that knowledge from them, because they are so similar to you. They are going to give you good feedback as well. Connect with people that you like, even if you're following them on social media, connect with them and get an understanding of how they would do it. What would they look at? I've made a mistake, and often when I make mistakes, I tend to really go hard on myself. And, I feel like sort of slapping myself around and going, you idiot, but we can't do that. Those mistakes that we make are there for us to learn. And it's really, really important that we allow ourselves to do that. And that is taking away the fear and just stepping into it and stepping into the light. And when we look at the light, I can see the beauty, because you can see shadows in it, even in here. We know that you're in the light. So you're receiving these beautiful messages, intuitive messages, and you may not know quite how or what to do with it. And maybe that's one of the reasons why you've jumped on and you've given me these beautiful flower images to read. It's trying to get an understanding of what you what is your intuitive medium? You know, what's the best way for you to connect? And all I can say is try the different ones. Get your friends to try different ones. If you like flower reading, do flower reading. Have a go at it. You know, if you like doing cards, have a go at it. If you want to learn how to make spells, have a go at it. It doesn't mean you have to follow that track or that path all the way. It's just about accepting and trusting which way your intuition is taking you, and allow that to come through. So that is for you, Elle. Thank you for sharing with me your flowers. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I hope I got everybody. Thanks, Bex, Elle, Mally, Glenda, and Sal. I really appreciate your support in helping me do this. Yeah, it's getting it a bit out there, and people haven't really seen a lot of flower readings. And so I love to be able to put it out there. So I do thank you so much for your support and your guidance on this. It's really been fun. If you want to learn how to do flower readings, jump on the website intuitivenature.com.au. There's flower readings on there. There's courses on there. You can get your own flower reading, or I can make the camera blur. Look at that, and clear. Okay, I've talked enough. That's me for this week. Next week I'm live. Yay! I'm back in Australia next week, and I can catch up with you then. So for now, have a great week. All about self-love. Look after yourself, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.